It is officially draft season. So our annual NFL mock draft is here. We got a special guest, Mike Skolsky. Brendan Albert also in the house. So let's bring on Skolsky first. Unfortunately, we are bitter enemies. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. He is a 4-time Phi Kappa Theta fantasy football champion. I have only won the trophy once. So 4 times in 7 years, Skolsky.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my hands for drafting so great. And, four championships in 7 years. I think might be the Patriots, got Bill Belichick in you guys' head a little bit, how he rose with the trades. So, I just got to keep my name on the trophy.
4 times, that's ridiculous. I did beat you 1 time in the championship. Yeah. I have won before the trophy was installed, so I'd like to say that I'm a 2-time.
There's evidence on here.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I'm a 2-time champion just to make myself look a little better. But 4 times in 7 years, that's crazy. I did win a league this year, though, drafted Le'Veon Bell #1 overall. So I will pat myself on the back with that. Brendan, you got any trophies?
I'm kind of like, the AAA affiliate of the Phillies, where I'm in our fraternity league and I'm on the lower end and I run it, and I'm kind of content, just like LeBron was playing in the East, being able to take 30 games off and still win the East. That's kind of how I view my fantasy game right now.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to get into the draft now. And you know who's not going to be winning any fantasy leagues anytime soon? Cliff Kingsbury. You know why? Because he's going to draft Kyler Murray #1 overall. And it's stupid. And I have the Cardinals. So here's how we're going to do this, in case you guys haven't seen our mock draft before. So the 3 of us each have a team. So we have, 11 picks each, something like that, 10 picks each. Each of us have been assigned a team. You're going to see the list on Brendan's spreadsheet. Well, draftnetwork.com, that's what we're going to use. And this is going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for this.
Yeah, this is something we've done in the past. So also, guys, if you're listening to the Burt and TD podcast right now, I'll make sure to share like a screenshot of this via Twitter as well, so you guys can kind of look at it. But as Adrian talked about, we're going to kind of do a rotating draft. The cool thing about this is we're using a third-party company, so Draft Network here, and they have their pre-rankings in. But that said, me, Adrian, and Skolsky here all have our own difference of opinions as well, which is going to make this as realistic of a draft as you can get. Just like if you read someone's mock draft, that's still not super realistic because it's only one person's point of view, versus here, you have 3 different people's point of view. So with that said, Adrian, you have the #1 pick here as the Arizona Cardinals. Are you okay with me going ahead and clicking Kyler Murray in here?
I mean, am I okay? No. I think this would be a stupid pick, but this is what the Cardinals are going to do. So I'm not going to screw up the draft process for you guys. I'm going to pick Kyler Murray #1. I'd pick Nick Bosa. So there it is. San Francisco is on the clock.
All right, well, when they pick Kyler Murray, that makes the next pick pretty damn easy for the Niners. I'm going Nick Bosa. I mean, he's a carbon copy of his brother, essentially. It doesn't matter what defensive front you're running. You plug him in there, you'll play. You put him next to Solomon Thomas. You put him next to DeForest Buckner. I mean, you win championships from the trenches, so that already just gives them a stud defensive line to build that defense around.
Skolsky, let me ask you this. Did you hesitate at all about taking Quentin Williams here? I
did. I'm starting to buy into that hype of, some people are talking about, do you take Q Will over him? But it's at the end of the day, I stuck with a guy that I just had pretty much #1 as my #1 prospect throughout this process. I decided not to make that last-minute change.
Yeah, it does seem like more and more people are starting to put Quinn Williams ahead of Nick Bosa. But Skolsky, the 4-time fantasy football champion, not falling for the trap.
I mean, I don't think it would be a bad pick at all if they take you. I mean, I don't think they can get this pick wrong.
You can't.
I mean, you pick one of those 2 guys, you already got an A from me on that pick.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. And I'm sitting here as the Jets thinking the exact same thing as you, Skolsky. I'm thinking whatever one you don't pick, I pick the opposite. So you pick Nick Bosa at #2 to the Niners. Then #3, I pick Quentin Williams here, and I'm not thinking about it twice. I think in reality, this is a pick that's for sale because the Jets don't have a #2 pick, and this is still a defense that has a lot of areas of growth and offense, not a lot of weapons besides Lev Bell. I think this pick is really for sale. But if for some reason we're not going to project trades, that's way too hard here in our mock, I think Quentin Williams would be the guy at the number 3 pick in this scenario.
Yeah, I think
agree.
of all the teams in the first round, the Jets trading back is probably the most realistic.
I think this is where we're going to see a lot of people's mocks just completely go up in flames, because here's one, they can go Josh Allen here, they could go Q Williams. And like you guys said, I think this is a very realistic trade scenario. So this is where I think early in the draft, you're going to see a big shift, whether it's someone trading up for a quarterback or then, someone trading up for Q Will. I think, we're going to see some shakeups right at number 3.
And you know what, fellas? I don't think this 3rd pick is going to be as high for sale as it has been in years past because of the Jets' need to get back. I think it's more of a need for the Jets to get back in this year's draft, truthfully, than a team that need to get up. So I don't think this is a situation where we're going to see like 2 number 1s. I think this is maybe a situation where you see a 1, a 2nd, and maybe a 3rd or 4th kind of thing than maybe we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, though. I know Daniel Jeremiah said he went from being 100% sure of Kyler Murray number 1 to only about 60% sure of number 1. If Kyler Murray's there at 3, do you think that drives up the price?
Yes, because I'm hearing the Raiders really like Kyler Murray, if that's true or not.
I think it does, Skolsky, and the reason I say that is because, well –
and if you're the Niners, maybe you think about trading back from number 2.
See, and this is – I don't think the Niners move, truthfully. I think the Niners are less likely to move because I think they're closer to win now than Arizona. So because of that, I think Arizona is in more of a situation to sell. But I don't think, Skolsky, honestly, I don't think that it would change the value because I don't think this is a draft class where it's like, oh, Kyler Murray is surefire number 1 across everyone's boards. I mean, I think there's multiple people. So truthfully, if I was like, for example, the Giants at 6 and Murray didn't go number 1, I would be smiling because I'm thinking, cool, that just pushed a quarterback 1 pick later, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. We are on – one more thing you want to say, Skolsky? You want to sneak something?
No, I was saying that was a good point.
Okay. All right, Oakland Raiders are on the clock. They have dismissed their entire scout team, and they have replaced them with me because I am making all 3 of their first-round selections. So with their 4th pick, this is where it's screaming Josh Allen because the Khalil Mack situation from last year. But you know what? I'm not going to go Josh Allen because I think he's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. I don't know if he's going to fit the 4-3 as well. He's got a great match made in heaven there with Paul Gunther. I think he's a great defensive coordinator. But I'm going to go Devin White, the linebacker from LSU. I'm going to go there for Oakland because I don't know if Josh Allen is going to fit there as well as everyone thinks he's going to fit. What do you think?
I don't have a problem with that, to be truthful. I mean, I think Devin White maybe is one of the cleanest low floor guys in the draft this year. I think that's a very, very solid pick, and he's a guy that I would fully expect to be a multi-time Pro Bowler, maybe even All-Pro in the next handful of years. And you know what? When you're the Raiders, you need help across the board. You need good football players across the board. So if your mindset is, look, let's just hit a nice single, maybe a nice double, we don't need to swing for the fences here, then I would agree. I think Devin White's probably a little bit safer of a pick.
Do you think it's going to be Josh Allen, though?
I don't. And to be truthful, in this scenario, I have heard from different places that it's either Williams or White. And even if Allen's on the board, Adrian, I actually could see them passing him.
Because of the fit. The fit just doesn't seem right.
It's that, and the Raiders have had such piss-poor linebacker play for so long.
Yeah.
And, again, if you're a bad team like the Raiders have been, I understand the idea of let's just get really solid players. I mean, I think if we look back at it, I think Devin White might actually have more Pro Bowls in the long term than Josh Allen. So why wouldn't you want the guy who's more of a Pro Bowler?
Good point.
You get your you get your quarterback of the defense here. I mean, you see a lot of people. I want to bring up the Eagles because I see a lot of people on Twitter who are saying, "Oh, the Eagles should trade up for Devin White." I mean, this is where they would have to trade up to get him. So it's not going to happen. Anyone who's praying for Devin White, the Philadelphia, on top of it being a linebacker, and and Howie not really valuing them, we're not going to. He's going to be taken in the top 10. If not at 4, he's going to be taken at 5.
Yep. All right, Tampa Bay on the clock. Who's got Tampa Bay?
I got Tampa Bay. So I'm going to go Josh Allen here. You got Gerald McCoy. He's, there's some uncertainty around his future. You have Jason Pierre-Paul, who gave a little bit of excited, but he's the one-handed man, and we'll see how his career plays out. But having Gerald McCoy, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Vita V, that's a stacked defensive line. And again, I'm big on building through the trenches, so that fills a need, sets them up for the future, and gives them a nice base on the defense to build towards.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% with you, Skull, man. I don't think you said anything wrong there, and I don't think that was the right pick there. Vita Vea last year from the Bucs. They definitely should have gone Derwin James. I think that was the biggest dumb move of the draft last year. But hey, I agree. I think everything you said there is completely true. So I'm here on the clock with the Giants, and before I pulled the trigger on this pick, I'm actually starting to wonder if Dave Gettleman is actually believing that Eli Manning is the perfect quarterback to tank with. And the reason I say that is I think all three of us would agree here, the Giants are probably going to be in the top 5 next year as well. So if you don't love a quarterback here, you can keep spinning this web of lies that Eli Manning's got plenty of time, and inevitably Eli Manning will have a terrible year, and you'll be in the top 5, and all of a sudden you can draft a better quarterback next year. Now, that's my belief, and I think it would make total sense. Also, I'm not a big fan of any of the quarterbacks here at 6. So my belief is if there's no clear fire quarterback, let's get someone who can protect him, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the best pass blocker and the best lineman in this year's class. I don't think there's even a question about it, and I'm going to take Jonah Williams here.
Okay. So I've been hearing rumors about Daniel Jones to the Giants.
Yeah.
I don't know how true it is. I don't know if it's legit, but we'll see. Because if that happens, shit's going to hit the fan in New York.
So let me weigh in on this and kind of explain the levels of why this smoke is building. Okay. First off, you have David Cutcliffe, who's the head coach there at Ole Miss. Okay. He also coached Eli Manning. Okay. So there's one level to the smoke screen. The other thing that most people don't realize, because no one's really a nerd like I am, the guy who is training and has been training Daniel Jones since he was in high school is the same guy that was Eli Manning's backup quarterback when they were in college. David Morris is the quarterback. He's from quarterback country. He's a great quarterback trainer, a guy I've gotten to know. He has a lot of ties to Eli. So I think there is a lot of connections here, and that's why you're seeing all of this smoke about Daniel Jones going to the Giants. Now, let's not get it twisted. I don't think it's at 6. I think it's more at 17.
Yeah.
But I understand why that connection is being made.
Maybe they trade up from 17 to try and get him.
Possible.
I agree with everything you said. I have a New York Giants coworker, and he was telling me the same thing about the QB trainer. But at the time, he was talking about that as a second-round pick, But now, there's rumors, as Adrian was saying, of him going 6th overall. But at the end of the day, if he's your quarterback and you don't want to risk losing him, if you see him as a franchise quarterback's the one position that you tend to overdraft. If you're going to reach on a position, it's going to be quarterback. As an Eagles fan, I don't really love him, so I would love if they took him number 6. I think Brendan hit it right on the head here. Take whatever quarterback you're going to get, you're going to want to protect. You already have the stud running back, but he can't run the ball 400 times a season and survive. So whatever you start building around that offensive line, you got Will Hernandez last year, and you start again winning in the trenches. So whoever you do bring in, there'll be a solid protection for him. And in this scenario, we could even possibly get a quarterback at pick 17.
Yep, exactly. All right, number 7. It's Jacksonville, and I'm on the clock. I got the Jags. So you just took Jonah Williams. This was going to be my pick here at 7. So because you took Jonah Williams, I am now going to take Juwan Taylor, the tackle out of Florida. So Cam Robinson, in my scenario, is going to move to the right side. He's going to be their right tackle. And Juwan Taylor is going to be left tackle of the future for Jacksonville. And Nick Foles.
There's been a lot of talk about this actually being the pick. The only thing I would kind of feel differently is Juwan Taylor's been a right tackle at Florida. I think he would stay at right tackle. But I understand everything you said there, Adrian. I don't think there's anything wrong here. So now we get to the Detroit Lions, and Skolsky, you have all that beautiful blue in the background, so it's just natural. You got the Lions here.
Yeah.
Lions colors, hopefully, not Cowboys colors.
No, definitely not Cowboys colors. This was one of the more difficult teams for me to project because I could see them going a number of ways. I definitely see defensive linemen, but I could also see, tight end here. But I'm going to stick with defensive line. I'm going to go with Ed Oliver here because I like that, Matt Patricia has, the multiple defensive fronts, and you have Ed Oliver who can literally play almost anywhere on the defensive line. I think that's a great pairing next to Snacks. Snacks can eat up some of the can take two people on, and that opens up Ed Oliver one-on-one, and then that's a matchup you want if you're the Detroit Lions. So I think that just gives them a lot of presence.
Ed Oliver's not falling.
Yeah, the more I was hoping that we propose that Twitter scenario, but as we get closer, it's not going to. If he doesn't get picked at number 8, he's going to get picked at number 9 more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Skolsky, because I'm sitting here in the Buffalo Bills, and that was a player I was thinking about here too. And it's funny because everything you said can be copied and pasted and said here for Buffalo. So because I just drafted a quarterback from the Buffalo Bills, I need to get him more weapons. But there's no receiver that in my mind is valuable here. However, there is a tight end who is 1,000% ready to roll and potentially could be a Pro Bowler early. TJ Hawkinson here for Iowa is someone I'm not thinking twice about. If I can't get offensive line help here because the 2 best tackles went, then I'm pulling the trigger on TJ Hawkinson and I'm keeping it pushing.
Okay. All right. Denver's on the clock. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's rare that you find a tight end, and these days they're either strictly blocking or, they're essentially a big wide receiver. Hawkinson's one of the guys that's literally can do it all. He's a beast blocker, and he's as good as a receiver, like running routes and catching the ball. So, he's going to be, top 10, top 12 pick for sure.
Yeah, great point there because Brett and I were talking about it on our wide receivers and tight end show about how last year there was literally nobody that could do both. And you have a guy this year can literally do both, and that's why he's going to get potentially drafted in the top 10.
Although I will say Goddard has been surprisingly good at blocking. I guess he just wasn't asked to do it at South Dakota State, but he's been a pleasant surprise so far.
Justin Peele working the magic as a tight end coach. So, but we looked at the tape last year. Brett and I, his blocking was not good at all. It wasn't there. He just got better at it. He just improved at it. They taught him how to block.
Yeah, credit the coaching.
There you go. Coaching staff doing wonders. All right, Denver's on the clock. I think they're probably going to go quarterback here. So, I got these quarterback needy teams I got to pick. This isn't sexy for me, Brennan. How did you pick this shit? I got all the terrible teams.
Sorry, brother.
I got the Raiders. I got to make the Raiders picks. And this, I guess I'm going Dwayne Haskins. I don't like Dwayne Haskins. I don't like any of these quarterbacks, but I'll take them. Whatever. It just seems like a Denver selection. Like they're just going to keep messing up on quarterback.
I have heard rumblings that they prefer Drew Lock. It's tough to tell because closer you get to the draft, the more smoke there is. So there's a lot of misconceptions.
Yeah, Drew Lock's been mocked to them by a lot of different people. I personally am not a Drew Lock guy, but I could see it.
But I also think the reason I could make this argument too here, fellas, the reason that you've seen Locke mocked to him is because you've also seen, Haskins mocked earlier before this. And not many of these scenarios are both of these guys on the board. So I don't think, Adrian, there's a wrong way when you're looking at this. Now, another quarterback, maybe needy team comes right up after them at number 11. Skolsky, you got the Bengals. So are you going quarterback?
I was thinking about it, but I think I'm going to go Devin Bush instead. I'm going to go quarterback of the defense instead. Andy Dalton, he's not obviously a tier 1. He's not a tier 2 QB, but now you bring in a QB, a coach with a QB background in Zach Taylor, and I think you maybe give him a year. He's still fairly young. You kind of see if is that something you can salvage after all those bad those mediocre Marvin Lewis teams. So, and then if it doesn't work out, like you said, Brandon, next year's draft is stock full of QBs. So I think you just get someone that's going to be a leader of your defense. You can pretty much play him at any of the 3 linebacker spots, and then you just take it from there.
Okay. Yeah, no disagreements. And you know what? Devin Bush was the guy that I was going to actually pull the trigger with here at 12 with the pack.
Now, this could actually be a quarterback. It wouldn't surprise me. Could they pull an Aaron Rodgers where you draft before – the best time to get a quarterback is before you need the quarterback, I think. So,
I agree. And I understand everything you said, but it would be more likely at 30 because they do have 2 firsts than at 12. But I agree with everything you just said there. I wouldn't be totally shocked here. This is kind of a tough scenario if I'm the Packers here because you just spent a lot of money bringing in 2 big free agents at the rush position at defensive at the edges. So maybe a guy like Rashawn Gary or Montez Sweat, if they're sitting here, or Brian Burns, maybe aren't necessarily a huge need for you right now. There's been a lot of talk about getting more help for Rodgers. I'm not a DK Metcalf fan at this high, and with Hawkinson gone, there goes the weapons. So Devin Bush would have been the pick here for me. So honestly, to me, if this happens to Packers, you pick up the phone, you call the Giants, you call Washington, you say, hey, can we trade back? Is there something like that happens here? But because we're not doing that, then I'm going best player available. And to me, I take Rashawn Gary here and just give me another guy in the trenches to play next to Daniels and suddenly go from a all offense team to quietly become a really, really good defense there in Green Bay.
Yeah, I think the pick here would be TJ Hawkinson if he's on the board.
I agree.
But because he's already been picked by Buffalo in our scenario, that this is going to be a little tricky for them. It's too high for Noah Fant, so I don't think that they would do that. So I think a trade back scenario would be very realistic here if this happens, if Hawkinson does get picked up. So there it is.
I also feel like Rashawn Gary's probably been one of the more polarizing prospects. I've seen him ranked anywhere from like top 5 to falling pretty far into like the mid to late first. But I mean, he's just one of those athletic beasts. I mean, you can put him on the end, you can put him inside or outside. It's just, I guess some people think, is he going to be like a jack of all trades, master of none, versus is he going to be reach his full potential, I guess.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Skolsky. And this puts Adrian in kind of the unique spot here with the Miami Dolphins. I think the Dolphins is another team that trades back. In this scenario, I don't think Miami truthfully wants to take a quarterback. And I said a perfect logical situation for Miami would be trade back, whether it's with Washington or more likely with the Giants, who have 12 picks. And then all of a sudden, Miami takes Jeffrey Simmons and completely tanks on this year and comes into next season with a guy who could be an all-pro and Jeffrey Simmons out of Mississippi State. But that's my opinion. Adrian, you have the Dolphins' control, so what would you do here?
Yeah, in my original mock, when I was kind of going through it, I had Brian Burns slotted here, edge guy, defensive end. But because Montez Sweat's still on the board, I'm going to go here. I think he's going to probably go top 10, but he's still on our board. So let's go Montez Sweat. No sweat here.
Yeah, the 13 was a spot that I proposed that hypothetical trade on Twitter because it makes sense for the Dolphins to trade back. I mean, honestly,
let us know what that trade proposal is for the people that don't know. So literally say what your trade proposal was, because it led to a show for Brennan and I, and it's actually it could be a realistic trade scenario for Thursday if Ed Oliver's on the board.
So I said we would trade pick 25, our second of our second round picks, and then our earlier of our 4th round picks to move up to 13 to pick Ed Oliver. With the assumption, with our other second round pick, we could even trade back from there and pick up an extra 4th to recruit that. But I mean, if you see someone that you see, hey, this guy has all pro potential and he's a perfect fit for our defense, he's a stud. I mean, I think we're one of the few teams that we can literally do anything. We have the ammunition to move up with at least 9 picks next year. And how he loves his trades. So we can also move back if there's not someone we love at 25. But I think if there is someone that they love, they're not going to hesitate to go to get him. In this scenario, I mean, would they make a consideration for Montez Sweat? But I don't know if they would. I don't think it'd be as easy of a decision as Ed Oliver would be.
Yeah. So we did a whole show on that. Brendan wasn't crazy about the idea. I am like indifferent. I like it, but I'm also like hesitant too. So 5 minutes, like every 5 minutes, my mind changes. So I like the trade, and then 5 minutes from now, I'll hate the trade.
Well, the thing is, Ed Oliver isn't going to make it to 13. So
yeah, he's not going to make it to 13. So let's just cut out the drama, and that's it.
It's more of just a fun what if scenario.
Yes, a very fun what if scenario and a very fun thread on Twitter.
Yeah.
Atlanta's on the clock. Who's got Atlanta?
I got Atlanta. Let me pull up my board for them.
Got the Dirty Birds here, Skolsky. This is another spot. This is where I would never believe Gary or Oliver would slide, because they just franchise tag Grady Jarrett here. So I still think that they are still looking for a long-term answer. Maybe it's not signing Grady Jarrett long-term. So that's why I would never see those guys actually sliding. What would you do here, Skullman?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, getting one of those guys, getting Ed Oliver or Gary was obviously the preferred thing. They might have to move up to get him. I'm going to go Brian Burns here again. If you see any trend to my picks, it's about winning in the trenches. And Burns, he has elite bend. I mean, he could definitely put on some weight. You know, it might take a year for him to fully reach his potential. But I mean, I think that would help their defense significantly, help their pass rush. They just need defensive line help because, like you said, they brought back Jarrett, but he's no guarantee to be back. So, you know, you get Burns, who might take a year to need to bulk up and get used to playing at that weight, but he could be someone that could be a stud for them for a while.
Yeah, and, you know, I don't disagree with anything. The only thing I'd be curious about is you still have, you know, Vic Beasley on one end, you have Tack, so you have two young edge guys. But I don't think you're wrong here, Skolsky. I don't think Vic has really shown a proven ability, and if they do this, all of a sudden now maybe you can pick up the phone and call a team like the Chiefs or call a team like the Seahawks or not Seahawks, maybe even the Patriots who have 12 picks. All of a sudden they could look for a guy like Vic Beasley on a prove-it situation. If Brian Burns is here, I think for Atlanta that's a win-win. But this puts me as Washington in a fantastic situation. I haven't had to trade up. I've had two quarterbacks slide to me. I don't think twice. I pulled the trigger on the guy who is a little more upside because I have a little more stability and quarterbacks getting me through a season. Give me Drew Lock here, the 15th pick for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, I definitely think they go quarterback there. I don't even think we need to discuss it any further. So this brings the Panthers on the board.
Real quick, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would that also be someone that could be tanking for next year, possibly looking at Jeff Simmons, you know, because, I mean, you have Case Keenum there. Obviously, he's not the long-term answer. He's not even someone they probably even want really starting this season. But could they just go in full tank mode?
I don't think so, Skullman. The reason I say that is because I think everyone in Washington's on the hot seat. I think they have to win. Versus Miami, they're like, we're all brand new. If we tank, it's not a big deal. But I understand why you think that. I just don't think that those guys in the room have the luxury of even saying we can take a year off.
Yep, I can see that.
Yeah. All right, so Carolina's on the clock, and, you know, I'm curious to see what they do here. Your point at Andre Dillard, huh? Well, I was thinking even Cody Ford at this spot because I like Cody Ford better than Andre Dillard. Now, the other move that they might make here, I'm not going to make this move, but Norv Turner, stretching the field, DK Metcalf, I'm not going to go there because I don't like DK Metcalf. So I'm going to go Cody Ford. They're going to move Taylor Moton to the right side. He was a second-round pick a couple years ago. Cam Newton's got that shoulder thing. You want to keep him protected. So we're going tackle here for Carolina.
No disagreements. Everything you said there, Adrian, I think is 100% what I would think too. And now I'm sitting as the Giants here. Daniel Jones is still on the board. I need a quarterback. Fine. If he wasn't here, if for some reason the quarterback's so early, let's say the Bengals take a quarterback and then Washington takes a quarterback and now the Giants are left holding the bag, then the Giants just simply say, you know what, let's just take a quarterback in the third round this year like we did last year and we look at quarterback next year. But because Daniel Jones is still on the board, I pull the trigger here, and now we're on to 18, the Minnesota Vikings.
Who's at 18?
I'm at 18. I mean, at first I think that'd be like a great draft for the Giants. So I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, they get the guy that they possibly want at 6, and they get arguably the best offensive lineman to protect him. So I mean that if I was a Giants fan, if you're a believer in Daniel Jones, would be a big win-win. So if I'm the Vikings, I need offensive line help, and it just so happens there's a guy who's probably one of the best pass blocking technicians out there in Andre Dillard. So I'm going to go Andre Dillard. I mean, they pretty much are. I know you don't draft for need, but they're in a position where, you know, you pretty much get an offensive lineman here. They could possibly, you know, get one of the defensive tackles because they could use help on both ends. But at the end of the day, you spend all that guaranteed money on Kirk Cousins, you got to protect them.
There's 3 teams, I think, if there's an offensive lineman on the board, they don't think twice. Carolina, I don't think thinks twice. I don't think Minnesota and Houston. If any of those 3 teams have an offensive lineman on the board, they just walk up to the podium and take an offensive lineman.
Yeah. I've got Tennessee here at 19, and this could be a spot where they actually try to trade up because they just had Brian Orakpo retire. I think they might try to get an edge guy, but in this situation, those edge guys are kind of off the table. So where are they going to go? You could go with a security blanket for Marcus Mariota if you want. You go tight end. Maybe you go DK Metcalf, but I don't like DK Metcalf, so I'm not going to pick him. I think it might be a little bit too early to go interior lineman, so this is where I'm going to go Noah Fant and give Marcus Mariota his security blanket.
Yeah, I mean, there's no thoughts I'm disagreeing with that, especially Delaney Walker's not getting any younger. So yeah, I think that's the right move, Adrian. I thought DK Metcalf would have been a good pick here as well, but man,
if you want to put DK in there, go ahead. I just don't.
No. I'm cool with Noah Fant. I think I actually would have agreed to take Noah Fant over it because I need more floor guys right now around Mariota because I don't know what Mariota is. I'm not 100% confident he's my quarterback of the future. So me bringing in a project in DK Metcalf, he might never actually allow me to tell me what Marcus Mariota is. So I agree with you. I would go safer around him.
I think you just hit the nail on the head there. I mean, we've seen flashes of brilliance from Mariota, and we've also seen the opposite. So, I mean, it's time to, once and for all see, is this guy someone we want to give a max contract to or not? So one way or the other, whether it's protecting him with an offensive lineman or getting him a weapon that's not a project that's ready to step in from day one. I feel like you have to see what you get. The whole goal of the Titans season should be, is Mariota legit? Is this the guy we want to give a huge contract to?
1,000% right. To me, for Tennessee, success is not defined as making the playoffs. Success is defining a clear answer with Mariota. I think everyone's talking about how, Winston's a bust, blah, blah, blah. Why are we talking about Mariota? His numbers aren't that much different.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh's on the clock now, and they're probably pissed off that we took Devin Bush in our situation. So where are they going to go?
I'm going to go maybe a little bit of a surprise. I'm not at the position, but I'm going to go Byron Murphy out of Washington. I like him a little bit more than Greedy Williams. I think he's a little more physical, and he's a little more – he can play man or zone. They could also use help at wide receiver. I mean, they look at Metcalf, but I feel like the Steelers are a team that they find the guy in the middle rounds, and he always somehow turns into a superstar. So I think with how deep the wide receiver draft, I think they'll go that later in the draft. So for now, I think they just get who I have is ranked as my number one corner.
No disagreements here. He's definitely more the physical of the two. I think Greedy's probably the more man-friendly corner, and he's obviously more of the measurables. But I mean, they have Joe Hayden, right? Like Joe Hayden's a guy who's a little smaller, and they obviously liked him because they traded for him. I think it's the same thing here. You look at Byron Murphy, but he's a much better tackler. Now I get to the Seattle Seahawks. An amazing thing, the most amazing thing to me, guys, in the draft, Seattle only has 4 picks, which is unbelievable to hear they have so little in a team that has a lot of question marks. So this is the team I would be least surprised if we see not select in the first round at all, just to get back and get more picks. And offensive line is a huge, huge area of need for them. But, man, I don't see anything here that I love enough. If I could, and in Seattle, I'm out of here. But since I'm not, I just gave Russell Wilson all that money. It's time for me to get him a receiver. And I don't love him, but DK Metcalf makes the most sense here because Russell does throw the ball really nice downfield. Go give me a big guy who can go and get it.
Do they go DK or do they go blanking? God, A.J. Brown.
I think they go DK, and I say that because you look at the rest of their roster, whether it's with Lockett, whether it's with Doug Baldwin, those guys are closer to the skill set of AJ and not closer to DK. So I think they would be more complementary versus AJ would be a little more redundant.
Okay. All right. So Baltimore is on the clock. And, I was going to piss you off and take DK Metcalf for the Ravens.
I'm glad I got that out of the way and took him before you then.
Yeah. So now I've got to go somewhere else. And, the interior of your line, right? Matt Skura is your center.
Yeah.
Like who?
Yeah, big need for growth.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the most athletic center in this draft, and that's Garrett Bradbury of NC State. So I'm going to give you a big athletic center for you guys.
Fine with me. I said all along A.J. Brown is my first choice. This is my second choice, and I'm fine. And this puts Houston in a tough spot. I just talked about it, Skolsky, a team who needs offensive line. Now you're sitting here as a Texan thinking, great, that was maybe the last guy I really loved.
That was probably the guy. I mean, I have a whole scenario of guys I have for the Texans, and they're pretty much all offensive line, and they all just got picked. I mean, they could definitely use secondary help, safety, cornerback. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's a name I'm thinking of right now. I mean, in this scenario, I think they would have moved up, but I'll make a little bit of a reach. I'm just going to go Dalton Risner here. He's someone that can play inside, outside. I mean, that doesn't affect their future plans. You know, he can play all 5 positions on the line too. I mean, I think he's a pretty safe pick. I don't know if he's ever going to be a Pro Bowler, but it's not always what you want to hear. But when, you know, your whole offense is based off Deshaun Watson's health, you need to make sure he's standing upright.
You're 100% right, Skolsky. This team goes as far as Deshaun Watson will take them, and they led the league in the most sacks last year. At this point, I would actually argue against the notion of we need Pro Bowlers. No, you don't. You need guys to make sure Deshaun Watson can become a Pro Bowler. He can't become a Pro Bowler if he's on the IR.
Yeah, I don't see Risner, like I said, I don't see him being a Pro Bowler, but I see him just being a solid starter for, you know, a decade.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. Okay. Oakland now on the clock again. That is me. So I think they go corner here because you got Greedy Williams there on the board. It's kind of easy here actually. Greedy Williams, just pick him.
That's fine. Adrian, did you think at all about Christian Wilkins here, or were you very easy with Greedy there?
It was easy for Greedy.
Okay.
I was thinking Christian Wilkins for the Oakland, but I mean, Greedy would obviously be a great pick. I mean, Oakland just needs to get talent one way or the other, so they're in a unique position where they can pretty much just take the best player on the board each time.
Yeah, I think I think for me, I would have taken Christian Wilkins in this scenario because I'm only a couple picks away from my next pick, and I could probably still get Rock Ya-Sin as a corner. And opposed to me, if I don't get Christian Wilkins, all of a sudden I don't have a guy, but I could get a receiver or a safety here. And so I understand your train of thought there, and I think I know where you're going to go. But let's put the Eagles on the clock. I'm just going to give each one of you guys an opinion to tell me who you would pick, and then I'm going to pull the trigger. So, Adrian, I'm going to go you first. In this scenario, who would you want the Birds to take?
You know, this is an interesting scenario because we have Christian Wilkins on the clock. But the name that I'm going to throw out there is Jeffrey Simmons out of Mississippi State. So you get the situation there with a potential top 10 talent. You got the torn ACL. I understand that. But you're going to get him for 5 years. And he's only 21 years old. He's going to be a beast next to Fletcher Cox. Christian Wilkins is 3 years older. Yes, he can play DN or inside, and you kind of like that because, you know, obviously on third down you like to Jim Schwartz likes to slide some of his guys inside to rush the quarterback. But I think Jeffrey Simmons is the better long-term option, and he's going to be the better player. So Jeffrey Simmons is going to be my pick here for the Eagles.
Like you said, it's definitely a unique scenario. Wilkins is definitely a guy I think they like. If I were here, the guys I'm looking at, or I think the Eagles will be looking at, are Wilkins, Jeff Simmons, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown being the dark horse. You know, Daniel Jeremiah mocked him to us. He has ties to the team, so I think he has to be under consideration. But I agree with you. Jeff Simmons would be my pick here. You're talking about a guy who has potential to be arguably one of the best players in the entire draft, and you're getting him at pick number 25. You get him in the first round. You get him on that 5-year contract. And if you have him on the NFLI and he misses his whole year, it doesn't accrue. So essentially you have a 21-year-old you have on your team who you can put on next to Fletcher Cox, who's actually a great comparison for him, and then have him under team control for 6 years, essentially.
Yep.
Hey, no disagreements. Jeffrey Simmons was my pick. You guys just double sold me, so I can keep it moving now. Skullman, you got the Indianapolis Colts, a team I think we're all can say we were surprised to see picking this late. They had a great year. So what would you do here, man, if you're the Colts?
Well, the thing that's scary about the Colts is if you look at their needs, they're almost identical to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I would be, like, if I'm the Eagles and there's a player I really love, I would be worried about the Colts jumping in front of them. So I think that's why we might see the Eagles move up if they have one guy on the board that they really want. Because, you know, you look at what they're looking for. They're looking for interior defensive linemen. They're looking for pass rushers. They could use a wide receiver. So I'm going to go with a guy I was, considering for the Eagles, and that's Christian Wilkins. And I think you could flip-flop those picks. If the Eagles took Christian Wilkins, I think they're taking Jeff Simmons right there.
And I think both of those picks, both teams would be happy, regardless if it's either of those two guys. All right, Adrian, you finish out the Oakland Raiders here in the first round. Who would you have them taken? To recap our listeners, we have Greedy Williams here, and before that we had Devin White. So they went LSU. No more LSU guys here in the first round, Adrian. So who would you take 27 for the Raiders?
Yeah, I see why I screwed up now because you should have gone Christian Wilkins and then I could have went Greedy Williams at 27. So that's why I'm not drafting for the Raiders, but only for mock season. Man, where do you go? My God.
Where you should go. I can give you a suggestion. 2 suggestions.
What's that?
I can give you a suggestion if you want.
Go ahead. What do you want to give?
I would say Clelin Ferrell right here. Him, or I think probably go him or Tillery, I think.
Tillery at a Notre Dame.
If you're taking opinions from the crowd, I'm going to step up to the mic and speak too. Then yeah, I agree. Clelin Ferrell would make a logical sense here. The other guy I would think would be Josh Jacobs. I think that's another.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's actually a good one too. Yeah.
I'm thinking Josh Jacobs, but I'm also thinking like the Raiders aren't going to be good for a while, so you're kind of wasting the career of Josh Jacobs. All right, you guys sold me. Give him Ferrell because I screwed up and didn't take Wilkins, so we'll give him the Ferrell, the D-line. And then I'm up again.
I think you made an excellent point there where Jacobs, I think, would be a great fit, but, they're not looking to contend this year and probably not next year. So, I mean, getting a running back has a short shelf life. That's why I was so adamant that if the Giants were taking Barkley last year, that they should have traded back, and then gotten him. Because I feel like running back's more of a luxury. And Jacobs is also not in that. He's a very good running back, but he is not in that Saquon Barkley tier. He's in like probably the next tier, maybe top of the tier below that. He's a very good 3-down running back, but he's not someone where you can find another Josh Jacobs in the draft. You can't. He's not someone that like a Saquon or Ezekiel Elliott where you can't pass up on that talent.
And you know what, with Clelin Ferrell too, he's a guy that's been projected as high as 17 to the Giants. Being an edge guy. So if you're the Raiders and you get him instead of Wilkins here, I don't think that's necessarily a bad deal either for Oakland. I think that's a good situation. Now you get 28 and you get the Chargers here. And let me give Adrian an extra second to think, but I could say this team 1,000%, this being for Josh Rosen. Like 1,000%, I could see this being the Josh Rosen trading spot here. But let's say, Adrian, you don't do that and you're drafting a draft-eligible guy. Who would you take to go to Los Angeles here for the Bolts?
Yeah, I'm looking at the board here and kind of how it's lining up. I'd probably go corner here. DeAndre Baker out of Georgia. I know they've got Jason Verrett and all those injuries. Unfortunately, you can't really rely on him. So he's out.
He's gone. Yeah, Jason Verrett has since moved on to the Niners, but you're 100% right. I mean, you have Hayward there who's really good. You have Desmond King who I'm gonna pat myself so hard in the back. I called that he was going to be a stud.
Both called it.
We did.
We talked about that too.
And he's really more of a slot guy. So you get more of a physical guy with DeAndre Baker. That makes perfect sense. And now you get the team who won the division and is another team who's really high on a lot of teams' radars. But there's that Tyreek Hill concern. Is he going to be suspended or not? So, Skolsky, would that impact you for how to draft here for Kansas City?
It would be in the back of my mind. Obviously, the Chiefs would know more about that situation than we did. But, I mean, Tyreek Hill fell to the 5th round because of off-the-field concerns. So, I mean, seeing something now, it's got to, it has to grab your attention. I'm looking at – I mean, I'm also considering, I was looking at Chase Winovich and possibly Rocky Sim. But I think I kind of like Hakeem Butler to them because I think that even if Tyreek Hill does come back, that still gives them like a big – to me, Hakeem Butler, he has all-pro potential, but he also has a lower floor because he has more drops than you'd like, but you also see some things that he does that I think are spectacular. So I think they have the luxury where they don't need him to come in and play right away if Tyreek Hill's in. But I think if he does come out, I think that combination of speed and then having someone that's kind of like potential to be a TO type or just like that, someone who's built like a linebacker but can like run like a speed.
Run like a deer.
Yeah, run like a deer. That's a good one.
I
think that'd be an interesting pick.
He was my number 1 wide receiver So
Really?
that is my guy, Hakeem Butler out of Iowa State. That blend of athleticism, speed, that flexibility. I like Hakeem Butler a lot. There is a low floor. You're right, because that you got to catch the football. But man, there's a lot dripping there. And everyone's talking about DK Metcalf. Hakeem Butler's got a lot of potential too.
I hear that. I didn't have him in my
You're
top
not as
5.
big on him as I am. I know.
Well, because last time I checked, the most important thing from receiver is catching the football, and his biggest issue is catching the football. That's a pretty big freaking deal, if you ask me, fellas. As a team who drafted Bashawn Perryman, I can tell you for a fact that's a big concern.
T.O. also didn't catch the football reliably, though.
Yeah, but T.O. did a lot of other things really, really well.
Let's just hope Hakeem Butler can do those things.
I think the Chiefs are one of the few teams that can afford that luxury, even if they don't even have, they can only use him in certain situations again. But I think his talent will win out, and he'll at least be a solid wide receiver. But he is definitely a high risk pick. I wouldn't shock me if they went a different direction, but I mean, he definitely has first round talent. It's just whether or not he'll ever realize that.
He's just got to hit the jugs machine. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the end of the first round and you get a guy who has potential to be, an all-pro. I mean, this is where you're kind of looking at those, moonshots at the end of the first round.
See, and to me, fellas, that pick actually becomes Frank Clark in my mind. I think this is the most logical situation because Seattle badly needs more picks. I don't think Frank Clark is going to play on the franchise tag. I think he's one of the people who actually would hold out. You just moved to a 4-3 defense if you're Kansas City. You want a true 4-3 defensive end. Steve Spagnuolo being your DC. Frank Clark would make total sense there to me. And if that was the trade, I think it's a win-win for both teams. So I hear everything you're saying, though, Skullman. Now, if I'm the Packers here, let's kind of recap. What did we do earlier? Earlier, we got Rashawn Gary. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to get Aaron Rodgers a guy, and I'm going to get a guy who can run straight really, really fast. And this is where I'm going to take Hollywood Brown here if I'm the Green Bay Packers at 30.
Okay.
I think that's a fantastic pick. I mean, I think they would love if Noah Fant fell to here. I think that'd be like a perfect scenario. But I think getting someone that can stretch the field would be fantastic for Aaron Rodgers. So that would definitely be a really interesting combo. And I think if that would happen, you'd see him being overdrafted in a lot of fantasy leagues.
All right, I'm just letting you guys know I'm having some charger problems, so hopefully my fucking computer doesn't die.
All right.
Well, we only have 2 more picks. So.
I've got 2 minutes.
All right. Well, who's up?
I'm up here with the two. We have the 2 Super Bowl teams, and this puts me in a unique spot here because if I'm the Los Angeles Rams, there's a lot of different ways I can go. I would never rule out receiver, to be truthful, with the Rams. But this here's my thinking. I really like Jonathan Abram. He could absolutely bring all of the intensity to my defensive secondary, and him next to Eric Weddle is really good. But I have a sneaky old defensive back room, and the corner position is something I really need to address. So give me Rock Ya-Sin here. This is gonna be our
you
guy.
just wanted to pick the Temple guy.
Had to get him in the first round. I just had to get him in the first round.
I was about to take him for the Chiefs. I think that'd be a great pick. If you're having charger difficulties, let me just go ahead and say my pick just in case we do get cut off.
No, actually, I'm good now. So I had my charger was overheating and it wasn't charging the computer for some reason, but it's fine now, so we're good.
Okay.
I was scared for about 3 minutes there.
Okay. I'm gonna go Dexter Lawrence here. I mean, I think they have a multiple defensive front as well. I mean, I mean, he's someone that I know people are like, don't take nose tackles in the first round, but he has pass rushing ability despite his size. He wasn't asked to do that as much because he was next to Christian Wilkins and Clelin Ferrell, so he was asked more to eat up blocks, but he has, with his size, he can still get to the quarterback. I think he had like 6 sacks freshman year. He's a big guy, but he can move. He could kind of, I guess, fill that Vince Wilfork role that was there for many years and was part of many of the championship teams.
Man, there used to be a time 10, 15 years ago where nose tackles were a huge thing. Vince Williams and Vince Wilfork and all these guys. It seemed like every team had a guy. Like all the 3-4 guys, you had a great nose tackle.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I could see Dexter Lawrence also going to Los Angeles to the Chargers as a team who badly needs more help inside. You have such great edge guys there with the Chargers. I think that could be a realistic spot here. The only other thing I thought, Skolsky, there for New England, maybe they go receiver. They haven't done it in quite some time.
I would have
just take another guy.
I would have taken Hollywood Brown if he was there. I was planning on
Mm.
taking Hollywood Brown. A.J. Brown, he's honestly probably my top 2 wide receiver, but I mean, he's primarily a slot guy. So I mean, when you have Edelman and all that, so, is he the best fit in New England?
Yeah.
That's the only reason I didn't go A.J. Brown. If any of those other guys were on there, I looked at Harry. Harry, I could see. N'Keal Harry's another one. Even Chase Winovich is another guy I think would be good because he's someone that can play in multiple defensive fronts. So I think Harry, Winovich, or even Tillery as well. I think any of those 4, they're in a pretty good position right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually was thinking of Chase Winovich too. If the Packers, it's because I got Rashawn Gary with the first of my 2 picks as the Packers, then I went receiver. But if for some reason I got T.J. Hockenson, then I think that would have made sense there and going Chase Winovich here at 30 here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. And as you can see, Brennan just kind of scrolled through first round mock draft.
So I've actually been following around. I was following along with the Draft Network, so I still have up the best available.
Okay.
So I just want to bring up some of the guys that according to their rankings are probably the best available. We have that didn't get drafted in our mock, and that's Josh Jacobs, N'Keal Harry, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, A.J. Brown, Nasir Adderley, and Jeff Tillery.
There are a couple guys there that I know the Eagles are going to be interested in. Maybe they trade up in the second round if Josh Jacobs is there or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I know that they're really infatuated with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from what I'm hearing. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to write articles about it. I'm not going to do that. But that's what I'm hearing. They like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
See, and I would say this. I hear Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That was another person that's been rumored at 25 heavily here for the Birds. But I think, honestly, best case scenario is Josh Jacobs goes to second. And it's not because the Eagles take him. It's because all of a sudden Miles Sanders slides. And now you don't necessarily have to trade up. And again, this all depends on how you view running backs. Like, I don't think there's a huge difference between the two. So to me,
Sanders higher than Jacobs.
And that's like my point, right? So if Josh Jacobs slides, now all of a sudden if I'm the Eagles, I'm like, oh, thank God he came out of the first round because now maybe we don't have to trade up to get Miles Sanders. I think that'd be a great scenario there.
Yeah.
And when I look at Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I have several safeties who I think are similar to his style of play, which is that versatility, can also play that corner experience. That's Darnell Savage, Juan Thornhill, and Nasir Adderley. So, I mean,
Taylor Rapp, too.
Taylor Rapp, I mean, that's 5 safeties that are on the board going into the second round. I mean, that'd be a great scenario for the Eagles because it's almost guaranteed that one of those guys is going to be there for one of their second-round picks.
That I think, fellas, if I'd be critical of ourselves, the one unrealistic thing that we did, not a single safety drafted in the first round. I think that's unrealistic for us. That said, man, a lot of corners went, and you know what? Corners are always a position of need. Edge is a position of need as well. I mean, I don't think we had any guys drafted here that I'm like, oh, he's definitely not a first-round guy. So, be interesting.
The only one I would say was probably maybe my pick, Dalton Risner. But, I mean, like I said, that was just someone that they have to take a tackle. They have to take an offensive lineman.
And maybe they're a team that trades up because you look at the top 3 guys, they're probably going to go top 15, So
if I were them,
Brendan, did you have Andre Dillard ahead of Cody Ford? I don't remember.
No, I would take Cody Ford ahead of him. I think he's a little more finished and polished. But if I'm a team who's obsessed with taking tackle, then Andre Dillard, or if I'm a team who's a really athletic quarterback and I need an athletic tackle to match him, i.e. Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson, then yeah, I'm probably thinking about Andre Dillard because he's a little more agile, while Cody Ford is a little more of the thug, a little more of the pounder, the physical guy.
Look for Houston to maybe try to get ahead of Minnesota to try to get that tackle, potentially. So
yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I think you look at it. I mean, you look at a lot of things that the people are saying the Eagles need offensive tackle, but you see in this scenario, it's not going to be likely that one of those guys is going to make it to them because of how many teams are in dire need of offensive tackle. That's why it's great that Jason Peters came back for a year and we have solid depth. We don't need that offensive tackle right now. If Cody Ford is there, he'd be a fantastic pick for us. But you see the type of people that are going to potentially fall, and that's going to be defensive lineman more than likely.
Yep, and that's why Jeffrey Simmons seems like the most logical pick. I mean, it was the pick all across the board. So there it is. All right, that is our mock draft show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This was a lot of fun, as it is every single year. And, well, let's hope the Eagles pick Jeffrey Simmons and don't screw it up. So there it is. All right, Brendan Albert, Mike Skolsky, the big fantasy football champion. And I am Adrian Fecchio. You will be seeing Skolsky around a lot more. So he will be joining the team and doing videos with him. I was going to do stuff with you last year, but, you got married and you had to go buy a house and get a pool and all that stuff and paint your house blue in Cowboys colors.
I mean, the Eagles got a ring, so I had to go get one myself, I guess. So
There you go. That a boy.
There it is. I love it. All right, we're out of here. Take care, guys.
Appreciate it.